Fala pessoal, beleza? Nesse vídeo a gente vai reagir a um vídeo desse carinha aqui, Sajad Kader, falando sobre o currículo dele, explicando como ele conseguiu um emprego na Amazon logo que ele terminou a faculdade. Então ele era um novato, estava começando e mesmo assim conseguiu um emprego na Amazon. Então vamos lá. Então eu vou habilitar aqui as legendas automáticas, pessoal. Eu espero que elas não me atrapalhem e vamos lá.
You have exactly 7 seconds to impress a recruiter with your resume. So in this video, I want to show you guys
Então, a gente já descobriu que a gente tem só 7 segundos para poder impressionar o recrutador, ou já era. Então, temos que estruturar muito melhor do que a gente imaginava o nosso currículo, ou ele vai ser simplesmente ignorado. Então, vamos seguir acompanhando o vídeo dele.
exact resume that landed me a software engineering internship at Amazon as a freshman in college. I'm going to show you guys how to properly display your education, experiences, and projects, and subtle tricks to manipulate the psychology of the recruiter to have them favor you over hundreds of thousands of applicants. And as a bonus, if you stick around to the end, I'll be providing a free resume template and a chance at a free resume review. So just sit back, relax, like and subscribe, and let's get started right away. So the first section of my resume is the header. I have my name nice, neat, and bold in the center, US citizen, 2 forms of contact, email and phone number, LinkedIn, and GitHub. It's important.
Bom, começando aqui pelo cabeçalho, né? Então ele já coloca o nome dele, como o nome dele é um pouco fora dos padrões dos Estados Unidos, né? Um nome, não sei se paquistanês, indiano ou Bangladesh, alguma coisa assim. Ele colocou que ele é cidadão americano. Então é uma possibilidade se você por acaso mora nos Estados Unidos, né? Ou se você mora nos Estados Unidos e tem um nome brasileiro, mas não é cidadão americano, mas você pode falar que você tem o Visa para poder trabalhar lá. Aí você coloca seu e-mail, telefone, também colocou o LinkedIn e o GitHub. É o que eu recomendaria fazer também.
Center, US citizen, 2 forms of contact, email and phone number, LinkedIn, and GitHub. It's important to have your name clear and bold in the center so people can search you up very easily. US citizen is important if you have a non-traditional American name like myself, because if you aren't a citizen, companies technically have to sponsor you with Visa, which they don't really like to do. So if you are a citizen, use that to your advantage, display it on your resume, email if they want to.
Mesma coisa que eu já comentei, né? Então ele falou basicamente as mesmas coisas que se você já tem Visa para poder morar nos Estados Unidos, então você não precisa. É interessante que você coloque que você já tem permissão para morar lá, porque de repente a empresa não quer bancar isso, né? Então ela vai descartar de cara se você não tem Visa. Então vamos prosseguir.
Contact you for an interview, phone number if they want to contact you for a technical screen. LinkedIn alias is very important if you have a common name so they can actually find you specifically. GitHub is important to show your projects and open source contributions. The next section.
E aqui, pessoal, sobre o LinkedIn, é bom que você coloque um nome sério, né? Porque afinal de contas é uma rede profissional. Então coloque um nome sério para o seu LinkedIn. Não coloque lá um nome engraçadinho ou o seu nickname de jogo, alguma coisa assim. Em seguida ele colocou onde ele se formou, né? Instituto de Tecnologia da Geórgia, bacharel em Ciência da Computação. E qual foi o foco, os cursos relacionados ao que ele aprendeu, enfim. Então aí está mais um ponto. Vamos ver o comentário. Vamos ver os comentários dele.
And then this is the most important section if you are a student, because typically you don't really have many impressive experiences just yet. In this case, I bolded the school I attended to as well as the city I went to. I italicized my degree and expected graduation date. So as you can see, there's like this mirroring in the format that I have. It's also important to note that there's no color on my resume. It's entirely black and white. Professional.
É um ponto interessante, né? Você nunca deve colorir o seu currículo. Vai ser só preto e branco. Então mantenha sempre no preto e no branco.
Standards only. I also want to point out that I do not have a start date for my university. I only have the expected graduation date because companies hate hiring freshmen and sophomore. And so if you put your start date, it psychologically shows in their mind that, oh, this person is new, even if you are perfectly qualified. But expected graduation date, they'll start thinking, oh, this person has these many summers left. Maybe we can hire them as an intern, then convert them to full time. So they're more impressive.
E aqui no caso dele, a princípio eu achei que ele tinha conseguido um emprego, mas é um estágio, né? E ele fala quando você espera que você vai terminar a faculdade. Você já tem a faculdade, isso aqui não se aplica para você. Mas é interessante que você coloque quando aproximadamente você vai terminar a sua faculdade, porque nesse caso ele vai conseguir ter uma ideia se vale a pena investir em você ou não. Por exemplo, você vai se formar daqui a 6 meses, então não vale a pena te colocar na vaga de estágio, dependendo do que eles precisarem. Ou talvez eles vejam por outro lado, se ele tem 6 meses para terminar a faculdade, se ele for um profissional bom, a gente pode contratar ele.
For that. And also, if you're graduating early, like I graduated within 2 years from Georgia Tech, I got to actually take that to advantage because it appeared as I was a junior in college rather than a freshman. I also didn't put a GPA for my education section because I didn't have one at a time because I was a first semester freshman. So case in point, GPA does not matter for software engineering internships. I put my concentrations emphasizing intelligence modeling simulations because AI is really hot. Related coursework, this is...
Aqui ele foi malandro, né? Ele colocou lá que focou em inteligência artificial, porque é um tópico quente. E realmente você tem que usar disso, pessoal. Então, às vezes, não só no que você se formou, mas também na vaga. Às vezes a vaga pede que você tenha trabalhado com Big Data e Python, e talvez você tenha trabalhado com Python. Então você coloca que trabalhou com Python e dá uma destacada lá, sem mentir, claro.
Is where there's a lot of magic here. You see, you never want to put the exact course title of the courses you're taking. For example, computing in Python, there's no computing in Python course at Georgia Tech. The course is actually called Intro to Computing, but that doesn't actually show you much. That just shows you you're an intro basic level programmer. But the important part is to emphasize the target skill set that you learned, such as computing in Python, that actually shows you learned computer science in Python.
Mesma coisa, a sua faculdade vai ser genérica, né? Ela vai te formar em ciências da computação, em sistemas de informação, esse tipo de coisa. E isso é muito genérico, né? Você pode colocar no que você focou lá dentro, o que você aprendeu majoritariamente.
Plus, Python is a target skill required by many employers, so when you put that on your resume, the ATS system goes like, oh shoot, this person actually knows Python, so we might want to proceed with them for an interview. So similarly, just look at the different courses that you've taken that are technical, related to your degree, and add them to your resume, but then change up their name slightly to make it more match the target skill set that you're learning, as well as the target skill set for the companies you're applying to. The next section we got is experience, and first thing to point out is formatting. As you can see, I boldened the place I worked at, as well as the city, italicized the role I played, as well as the time frame. This is an exact match to the education section, and as you can see, the consistent formatting helps your resume look neater overall and more recognizable. Additionally, if you look within the description...
Aqui é a forma que ele formata as experiências que ele teve, né? Ele sempre coloca da mais recente para a mais antiga, né? E onde foi, né? Então aqui ele coloca onde ele trabalhou, qual era o papel dele, mais ou menos o que ele fazia nessa empresa, onde foi, o período, aqui tem uma segunda experiência, o que ele fazia lá, enfim, vamos deixar ele falar.
I have the X, Y, and Z format put at play. This format is actually taught by Google, the X, Y, and Z. You used X to accomplish Y that had Z impact or Z result. So in this case, I stated I developed and implemented a user interface on Python and MATLAB. So I did that to track the performances of the algorithms. That's where the Y, and this thus produced confusion matrices and performance metrics. So we have...
Boa, aqui ele coloca o que ele fez, qual o porquê que ele fez e o que ele conseguiu atingir com isso. Então é uma boa estratégia também de você adotar aí na elaboração do seu currículo. Vamos deixar ele prosseguir.
That Z result or Z impact. It's also important to note you need numbers on your resume. As you see, I put 92.7% accuracy. Even for the tutoring experience, which is a non-technical experience, I emphasize 40 students or 12 tutors or increase acquisition by 300%. At the end of the day, eyeballs are driven to numbers. You want to have numbers on your resume, and because recruiters only spend a few seconds on your resume, any advantage, any small thing that you can put to attract them, they'll stick for that and potentially call you back for an interview. The one regret that I have with this section is on the right-hand side of the tutoring experience, I have a lot of white space. I pretty much have hanging indents, like each one of these bullet points are not really like complete sentences. They don't actually fill up a line like they did with the internship experience. And so it just seems like an incomplete experience, and plus it was a non-technical experience. So actually, as soon as I got my Amazon internship, this was the first section that I took out because it helps out when you're supplementing your experiences when you don't have anything as a first semester freshman, which I was at the time. But once you actually have proper experiences, everything non-technical needs to go away. The section after that is projects. And as you can see, I have a stock predictor project and the same format once again. Name of project, city and state, role I played, time frame. This is actually a project that I did when I was in high school, but I liked it so much and it was so well designed and technical that I included it for my resume and was actually asked about it a ton during interviews. So I talked about the description of the project. I talked about neural networks, naive Bayes, linear regression, time series algorithms. It really helped out for those data engineering type interviews. And I also included, once again, a performance metric, 90.0% accuracy, which is huge in the whole data science ML space. Two big mistakes that a lot of people make with their projects is just bullet point names of their projects without giving proper descriptions. This is wrong.
Interessante também, pessoal, que ele fala exatamente o que ele fez do projeto, explica qual que era o papel do projeto e ele fala que às vezes você coloca só o nome do projeto, mas o nome do projeto não diz muito, não diz nada na verdade, o que ele realmente faz. E isso pode jogar contra você. Então é bom que você especifique o que exatamente você fez nesse projeto. Prosseguindo.
Because projects at the end of the day are experiences themselves. Before you have proper work experiences, projects are your experiences because you're doing something highly technical for a while. That's pretty much kind of like a job experience, but you're not getting paid for it. Another mistake people make is around the name of their project, they just list the different technologies that they use rather than showing how they applied it or why they use something. Don't just tell me you're using Java. Tell me what library you're using Java and how you're applying that in the project that you're accomplishing, whether that be for a work experience or a project experience. The next section we got is activities and leadership. I was just trying to stack my resume with as many experiences as possible because I didn't really have any at the time, and so I included the clubs that I did. I have Bits of Good. This was a web development club. I didn't actually do too much, but I did learn some key skills which I emphasized a ton on my resume. I learned HTML, CSS, JavaScript, SQL, React, and Node, which are huge target skill sets for recruiters in the interviews for software engineering positions. And as you can see, overall, once again, the format stays the same. Name a club.
Aqui ele usou outras habilidades que ele teve anteriormente, então isso aqui você pode usar se você ainda não tem, nunca trabalhou efetivamente em uma empresa de desenvolvimento. Você pode usar suas experiências e o que você fazia. Então ele usou essas tecnologias que ele aprendeu aqui, por exemplo, HTML, CSS, JavaScript, SQL, React.js, tudo isso aqui o recrutador vai olhar. E ele não citou anteriormente nos outros projetos, mas aqui está listado o que ele fazia. Isso mostra que ele conhece essas tecnologias. Então você pode usar essa estratégia também, caso você seja novato.
City, role that you played, time frame. Consistency is key overall. And for the data science club, I included that because I was also recruiting for data engineering and data science positions. So I included the Python libraries, NumPy, Scikit-learn, TensorFlow, and Matplotlib. I not only included those libraries, but also showed how I actually used them. I also included the robotics experience, and this was actually a club that I did when I was in high school. Because I was a first semester freshman, I didn't really have much under my belt. And so this was one thing that I included, but I took out right away as soon as I got my Amazon internship. Now, even though that this was a high school thing, this actually did serve me some good because I included a number on my resume. Once again, numbers, even if they are somewhat irrelevant, draw eyeballs to your resume. The final section, skills section. Now, this is the only section that is okay not having in that proper experience format. You're just listing out the different skills, and I actually kind of hate what I did here. So I have 3 bullet points that are useful, 3 bullet points that are useless. The useless bullet points are honors, language.
Aqui ele está falando das habilidades, né? Aqui, segundo ele, é o único ponto em que você pode apenas listar o que você fazia, né? Por exemplo, em programação, o que ele sabe? Ele só lista, não coloca o impacto que isso gerou na carreira dele. Plataformas, também ele só lista elas. As linguagens que ele fala, o cara fala 4 idiomas. Os interesses, enfim.
Languages and interests. Honors, these are all high school honors, high school awards that I won. Salutatorian, state debate champion, regional robotics winner. I would take that out if I could go back. Languages, pretty useless unless you're applying for any like foreign roles where they require certain languages. Interests are once again pretty useless. It's actually kind of funny that included bodybuilding as one of my interests, which it actually wasn't. I don't know why I put that there. In fact, I think sometimes recruiters actually looked at it and laughed Do not make the same mistake as me. For the programming bullet point, I really like what I put here. Make sure not to put qualifiers. Don't put Python, parentheses, beginner, or Java, parentheses, intermediate. Do not do that. Just put a language if you know it, or take it out if you don't know it, or
aqui tem dois pontos também, né? Ele falou dos interesses. Se você tem um interesse em alguma coisa que não condiz realmente com o que você realmente gosta, vai jogar contra você. E da mesma maneira, ele falando sobre você colocar, por exemplo, a linguagem, imagine Python, e colocar Python intermediário, Java iniciante, JavaScript avançado. Não. Se você colocar isso, vai jogar contra você também.
or learn it and then put it to your resume. Don't just learn how to print hello world onto your language. You should be somewhat intermediate at any language. You don't need to be a full-fledged expert. Also, it's important to emphasize which languages you know better. Like, for example, if Python is your first language, you should know Python very well, and then Java second well, and then JavaScript third well. Like, it should be in decreasing format going forward. This technical programmatic bullet point is another hack that I had because I didn't take the data structures and algorithms course at that time in university yet, but I still did know the concepts and I knew how important they were for the interview. So I included it in this like technical programmatic thing that I knew data structures and algorithms, so I could add it to my resume. It would get picked up in the application tracking system. Come on, we got to optimize for that. The platforms, Linux, Mac OS, Windows, very important if you know any specific like terminal commands, knowing how to write like scripts and all that, very, very useful for software engineering roles. Now, one funny thing that I want to show you guys on my resume is for the experience section, this Hughes Howard Medical Institute, this was actually a big mistake. You see, the actual name of the company is Howard Hughes Medical Institute, but I mistakenly wrote Hughes Howard Medical Institute, and I didn't realize that I made this mistake till on the interview. This like one recruiter I was like talking to kept flipping back between Howard Hughes and Hughes Howard because they knew the name of the company, but I didn't. After the interview, I actually Googled it and I was like, man, I had the wrong company name on my resume the whole time. Needless to say, I didn't get that interview, but I got the successful Amazon internships at the end of the day. So hey, you know, you take your wins with your losses. At the end of the day, recruiters spend on average 7 seconds.
Aqui ele fala sobre os erros que ele cometeu e que é colocar o nome da empresa incorretamente, né? Então você tem que tomar cuidado com esses detalhes, jogar no Google e ver certeza exatamente como é. E ele falou que felizmente para ele deu certo, ele conseguiu o estágio, mas poderia ter dado errado.
Seconds in reviewing a candidate's resume. That is the time frame you have to impress them. You need to make sure to have consistent formatting across the different experiences that you have. You need to make sure to impress them with the numbers on your resume, with the skills that you state on your resume. At the end of the day, you need to have a perfect resume. Sometimes when I review people's resumes, they tell me, oh bro, you're trying so hard. Why are you doing this? It's just an internship. If you look at the state of the market right now, you need to have a perfect resume to even have a chance at a foot in the door. Because at the end of the day, no one cares how knowledgeable you are if you can't display your skills properly. And by the way, if you made it to this part of the video, first of all, thank you so much. And if you want a free resume template of this template that I have right here, check the link in the description below. And if you click on...
Bom, pessoal, então ele deixou aqui o template para o currículo dele e você pode contratar ele para fazer review do seu currículo. Tem o curso dele também e todo o jabá dele aqui. Então, vale a pena vocês conferirem. E se você quer um conteúdo em português sobre esse mesmo tema, confira na descrição desse vídeo o link para o meu curso Career Hacking, como avançar na carreira de TI. Então, é isso. O vídeo ficou um pouquinho grande. E é isso aí. Se você gostou desse tipo de vídeo, deixe seu comentário, deixe seu like e a gente se vê no próximo vídeo.